Hi and welcome to Game Creation, and you have made it to the last video in our Tetris series. It has been an amazing 3 weeks, and to get minimum viable product on Wednesday has been amazing, and to have time just to tidy things up is always good. I kind of planned to have a week for that, but looking at the start of the project, that was way too ambitious. So at the end of last week, as I said in yesterday's video, I was kind of grateful just to have a couple of days. So we've got lots and lots to do for this video. We've got to sort out the scoring system and levels and all that stuff. And we've also got to get that down arrow to work because it is quite tedious sitting there waiting for the thing to drop. It also has an implication on the scoring. So on the Game Boy, when you press down, it actually gives you a score for every block that you go down when you press down, as long as you don't release down before the block is landed. Having said that, I'm not going to make this exactly the same as the Game Boy version, because that would just be me sitting in front and working out all of the mechanics of the Game Boy, all the timings and stuff, which is available on a few websites that have done all that stuff for you. But it's just going to be out of the scope of this 3-week project, and will end up with me doing an hour-long video on getting the exact timing correctly for everything, and it's just not worth the time. And it's something that I wouldn't mind doing. I'm a perfectionist. I want this to be absolutely perfect, but it doesn't necessarily make a good video, so I'm going to abandon that. And having sat there and watched me do like the repetitive stuff that I've done over the last week, I'll probably spare you from that. So let's get started. Lots to do. Let's get going. So I've opened up the same project we've been using all of this week, and we've got the next item, although I need to shift this left a bit because the long block kind of comes off the side, but we haven't got a score level or lines or anything like that. So let's put a score, like a counter in for all that stuff, and we could just put a simple counter in here and that would work fine. The problem is that the font of this isn't the same as the Tetris font. So if I double click on that and just bring it across, I need to update these to be the exact same things. And luckily on my graphics pack it has the numbers. So let's use the actual numbers. That is a 6x6. So let's copy that. Yeah, this is going to be another one of those mundane things. So 6x6. I don't want it proportional yet. Apply, paste, and of course it doesn't because we need the background to be black. Paste in, and I might just, what I could do is make the object 6x6. That would actually be a lot easier, but I'm not going to take the easy approach. I'm just going to change all these to 6x6. I think all the numbers are 6x6, although they're probably 8x8, thinking about it logically, so I'm probably going to have to change some of these as I go along. But you know, when you start doing something, it's very difficult to stop. And let's just control it all. Let's highlight each of these and let's get these prepped. So I'm just pressing Control and A for the selection thing just to remove the current numbers that are in there, because we want to remove those and update them with the new model or the new numbers that we've got. And there's other things in here like the decimal point, but we don't use the decimal point, I don't think, so we don't need to change that. Right. Now this is a different resolution. Okay. Let's just zoom in a bit. So let's put this in the middle. And I'm just going to use my paintbrush just to remove the edges. Oh, no, I'm not. This is still selected, so I need to select that and just remove the edges with the paintbrush or with the line tool. Why not? I could also remove the white just in case I want to change the colour. Okay, and looking at this, I should probably change the resolution of these as well, so the whole object shrinks, even though we're not using these. Okay, so hopefully that's done it, and then let's carry on. I bet this is 8 by 8. It's still 6 by 6. Cool. When will I stop forgetting to do that? Okay, click, and then remove the white. Okay, let's go back into here. Do number 3. Copy, Control C. Paste the black, paste it, click, remove the white. And the beauty of using this number thing is that it just works. The numbers just come up perfectly, and I just set the counter, and Clickteam will do all of the hard work for me. It's really, really good. I do like the counter object. Right. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Halfway there. Oh, it's nice to be halfway. And let's click outside, remove the white. It's a white background anyway, like it wouldn't matter if the white was in there. Control C, paste the black. So at the start of this video I said that I don't want you to sit in there watching me do mundane things, and here I am doing mundane things, but I really don't want any part of this project to be missed out, because that's the most irritating thing. When you're following a tutorial and the person just goes, oh, I've done some stuff but I'm not going to show you. You're like, no, I want to see. And with YouTube you can always skip if it gets too tedious. Okay, oh, why did I click OK? Didn't mean to do that. Hopefully that's all sorted still. So I've got one left, have I? Yep. Cool. Ah, that flew by. Okay, so now we've got the nice numbers in, and here I'm just clicking right. If you didn't realise, I've got the alpha to the other one, so I just click right and it just changes it to the alpha. These I don't need to update because there's no negative numbers and there's no decimal points. Okay, I'm going to do the same as I did with the other one. I'm going to clone that just in case I muck this up and leave it over here. Because what I'm going to do now is just get this object. I'm just going to times it by 5, which will be 30. So it'll be 30 by 30. Now hopefully that's scaled nicely, although it does look a bit odd. Okay, so let's just change the value of that to change the value of it to 1, 2, 3 to show all of the numbers. Okay, now this is when I realise I've been an idiot, because it was designed to have spaces between them. It was designed to be 8 by 8, and I've been an idiot. That's good. It's good that we know that now. Okay, so I'm going to clone this. This is why I always keep a backup. Okay, so it should be 8 by 8. In fact, it doesn't actually need to be 8 by 8. It just needs to be 8 across. And I don't want it to stretch, so cancel that. Yep. So I just want to increase it by 8, or increase it by 2, and then centralize it. And I'm just going to go through each one, changing the width, and then centralizing it. And again, this is why we test. Testing's good. So it doesn't bother me that it's not 8 by 8, even though it probably was in the original, because the Game Boy did everything by 8s. And this would have just been a graphic like anything else, just like the tiles. It would have been saved in the same sheet. And whilst I'm talking and doing this, I am likely to make a mistake. But I just have to trust myself that I won't. Okay. So this scoring system was supposed to be the easy bit of today's video. This does not bode well for the rest of this video. I know this video is going to be a long video. Like, I think I'm just kind of accepting that. Unfortunately. Right. Cool. And that hopefully is me done when I finish this one. Okay, groovy. Right, click OK. Now I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone that. And that's now going to be my spare one. I'll remove the old one. So I'll leave that as a spare. Okay, now what I might want to do is go through these one by one instead of growing the whole thing. So all I need to do is change that to 40. And I'm just going to go through each of these one by one instead of doing what I did before, just stretching the whole thing. So I'm just looking at these and checking that they look good, which I think they all do. That 0 looks a lot better. Yeah, didn't look that good before. Okay, let's try the same test. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And that's looking much, much better. Excellent. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay. Now, is there... This is me being precise now. I think there's a way of having this so that it's centered, but I'm not sure. We don't want a fixed number of digits. No, that's all good. I think there's a way of having it so it's centered, but I don't know. Looking at this, it doesn't look like there is. So we're just going to put it to the side there. So this we can rename to score. And then I'm going to clone it because we're going to have one for level. I'm sure there was a way of doing that. Sure there was a way of having it so it's always in the middle. Maybe that's just me. Clone that, and we're going to have lines as well. Cool, right. Now the easiest to deal with is the lines, because we already have a function that is removing lines wherever that was. I think it came off this one. And check if row completed, and it could be on this one, couldn't it? Because it's got a completed row. So all I need to do is add to counter 1. So we've got one more line on there, and the scoring system we're going to worry about later on. But what I could do is I could add 100 for now. The scoring system. Levels could be 0 at the start, and we can get rid of that counter 4 because it all looks like it's working. So if we run it now and try our best to get a line without being too impatient. Oh, so the scoring system looks good actually. I like those numbers because they match the text there, which is really nice. And so if you just put a normal counter in, it just wouldn't look right. You want everything to match each other to make it all nice and neat. Doing this is like, watching this is like pulling teeth. 'Cause you've got the perfect position, but you've just got to wait for the tetromino to hit the bottom. Right, here we go. So these should update nicely, and they do. Perfect. Look at that. Excellent. Okay, so we've got one line, and I'm not going to carry this on. Okay, so the next thing we need to be thinking about is getting the down arrow to work, and that's going to be quite tricky. But I have an idea of maybe what would work. Okay, so let's go to our player inputs, and we just want to copy that, Control-C and Control-V, and this time we're going to go down. And in fact, we might put it with right and left. I'm just going to remove this stuff for now. Okay, so when you click down, basically you want the piece to fall faster. You don't want it to instantly go down. On later versions of Tetris, if you press up, it instantly drops down. It doesn't do that on the Game Boy. The Game Boy doesn't have an up button drop, which is good. I think it's like a hard drop or a soft drop or something, I think they're called. So we want this to work continuously because you're holding it down, so we want to replace that anyway. We want to say keyboard repeat while key is pressed. That means it will keep firing this line, but we don't want it to keep firing it forever. So every tick it activates the group on tick, but we want this to be activating the group on tick. On tick basically moves the piece down. So if we just do that, it drops way too fast, which is probably a good thing considering you having to sit there and watch me do it, but it's way too fast. Now I have an idea about how I can get around that. If I insert every, and then let's say 1/10 of a second, it will limit the amount of times I do that. So it will limit the amount of on-tick activations. So if I do it now, it's faster. In fact, I don't know whether that's too slow still. I want to make that 7. So let's try it now. So I'm just pressing down when I've got the piece in the right. There we go. That's nice. I like that. I want it to be a tad faster, and this is exactly what I said I didn't want to do. So we put 5. I think 5 is a nice compromise, because I think when it wasn't set to that before, it just went way too fast. This feels like a much easier game to be. I wish we'd done this before. It wasn't that difficult, and it would have made testing a lot easier. Benefit of hindsight, eh? That's good. This is just watching me play Tetris now. Oh, where could that piece go? That piece could go there. Okay, cool. Right, that's another mission accomplished. So the next thing will be levels. Okay, so we're going to focus on the leveling system, and the leveling system is pretty simple because the level is based on the amount of lines that you've done. So where have I used the lines? Okay, so we're adding 1 to the lines here, and we should really have a check here to see if the amount of lines has. So we're going to compare. Now, what we want to do is we want the level to increase by 1 if the amount of lines has reached a multiple of 10, because every 10 lines you get an extra level. Okay, so we need a way of doing that, and the easiest way of doing that is using the modulus function. So we're going to have to put our maths hats on here, and what we're going to do is when we increase 1 to the counter, we're actually going to set the level based on what the counter is. Okay, and I don't need the modulus function. The modulus function is the remainder. All I need to do is get the number of lines, like the current value of lines. I don't know why I said modulus function. because all we need to do is divide it by 10. Easy. So when the number of lines is 9, it will do 9 divided by 10, and because I don't have a 0.0 here, it won't show it as a decimal, it will just show it as 0. Then when it hits the 10, it will then work this out to be 1, because it will be 10 divided by 10. When it hits 11, it will still be 11 divided by 10, which it will calculate as 1. If you want to be explicit about it, what you can do is you can use a bit of the calculations, and you can use the floor value, if that makes you happier. It will give you the floor value anyway, but floor means basically it's rounding, but it always rounds down. So it will do 0 divided by 10, which is 0, floor of that. Then it will be 1 when we got our first line. 1 divided by 10 is 0.1, floor value is 0. So let's just make sure that's put next to it. Yeah, that looks good. And let's run it. And this is when I'm grateful that I've got a nice function here. Let's just shift that in there. This is where I'm grateful I've got the down button. Okay. So notice my lines are still 1. Even though I've got 2 lines, like my level is still 0, even though I've got 3 lines. It's a horrible piece. I'm not having very much luck with these. Alright, I can fit in there. Oh no, that would have fit nicely in there. Oh well. I need to get 2 long pieces, please. I should probably have rigged this. I knew this video would depend upon my skills in Tetris. Or lack thereof. Right, let's put this piece in here, because when I put this piece in here, it will clear those. And so you can see I've got 7 lines, so I'm coming close, but I haven't quite got to that level yet. And there we go. So I'm on to level 1. And it will stay at level 1 until I hit 20, which is what I want. Perfect. Right, let's close that down before I embarrass myself any further. Right. Let's look a bit deeper into the scoring system. So this is the original manual that came with the Game Boy. There's a PDF. The URL's up there, but yeah. And so this table shows that you actually get a heck of a lot more points for a Tetris than you do a triple, and triple's better than double, and then double's better than single. So you actually get a lot more points by getting these Tetrises, which is just 4 completed lines. And the formula for working this out is you always add 1 to the level, and you times it by 40, times by 100, times by 300, and times by 1,200 or 1,200 if you're American. So for each time, like each level you go up, you get more and more points, because the speed will increase, which we haven't done yet. So let's get cracking on that. So looking at this bit here, what we've got is this check if row completed, and it goes through and it fires this event once for every row that's been completed. So we need to have like a counter in here, and then when all those checks are done and we get to this event here, we can then calculate the score, and we'll calculate the score in this one. So if I copy and paste that, and I'll calculate the score in this row. And so let's just drag this here to remind me that's where we're calculating the score. So we're not going to just add 100 each time. So we need to go to our array store, and we're just going to add an alterable value. We're going to call it completed rows. And the first thing we're going to do is set that to 0. So for each time it starts off at 0. Let's just move that to the top, because we want that to happen before the checks happen. So this is set at 0. And then for each one of these, we're going to go to alterable value, and we don't want to set, we want to add to. So add to completed rows, because there's going to be one more of those. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to, and there's probably an easy way of doing this, but I'm just going to do it the long way. The long way that I can easily work out. So if the completed rows equals 1, then we're going to set the score, or we're going to add to the score. I'm just going to edit that. And we're going to do the level, the current value of the level, plus 1. And then we're going to times it by, what was it, 40. I've got my trusty notepad, not notepad, Post-it note here telling me all these values, because I had the foresight to write them down. If it equals 2, then we're going to times it by 100. Does depend on me reading my own handwriting, which is always a bit nervous. 300 for the next one. And then finally, on level 4, this is a Tetris. What was it, 1200 from memory? Yep. Wicked. So, if we run that now, and of course I have the dud one, I always start off with a really bad piece whenever I'm testing this. Although maybe that just feel that way. Right, let's try and get 2. So 2 should be 100. Let's try and get 2. And that's come at a bad time, hasn't it? We get 2 now, so should get a score of 100 with these 2. Let's see if it works. Excellent, it does. Let's try and get 1. That's the wrong piece. Okay, so if I get 1 here, that should be 40. Brilliant, it is. If I get 3 here, that should be 300. So I should have 440 points, which I do. Brilliant. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, the next thing we need to do is the drop. You do actually get points if you hold down the drop, and we'll need a alterable value for this. So we'll do the, where is it, the player data store, even though it's already packed. I just know I'll look for it in here. And drop bonus. So we'll have a drop bonus. Okay. So I've got to now think, where is it that I'm going with this? So this will fire. Workout tile positions will fire every time you've got your finger on the down button. So we'll probably have it all done in here. I mean, I could have it add in here, but actually it is firing every this is firing each time. Okay, let's do that. So what we want to do is we want to add 1 each time this fires. So if you're holding down the down button, so alterable values, add 2, and the drop bonus, which is 1. But if you're not holding down the down button, and all we do here is just right click on it and negate it, we don't want any of these functions, but we need to set that to 0. So the drop bonus is turned to 0. Now I think this works, but what I'm worried about is the drop bonus won't reset to 0 at the start of a new line, like start of a new tetromino. So we just need to add an event in here to say, right, your drop bonus resets, mate. You can't have drop bonus like for each time, but if you're still holding it down, you get the full drop bonus for the next piece. So let's have a look and see how that works. So if I've got a piece here and I hold it down, let's say here, so it should be 3 roughly. No, I don't get any because I haven't added the scores on because I'm an idiot. Okay, so what I probably need to do is then add that to the score there. So add to counter that drop bonus, which is probably on the next one. We need to make sure that happens before we reset it, otherwise we're just adding 0 each time. Okay, so let's do it 1, 2, 3. So let's do it at 3 again. Holding it down. Oh, I got 4. Oh, because there's an extra tick, isn't there? Yeah, so if I hold it down there, but you get a nice drop bonus. As we said, it's not exactly the same as the original, but that's fine. We'll cope with that. Okay, let's stop that, and let's think. Something I've just noticed is that the T shape and the square shape are both the same tiles. So I've mucked up that they're both the same, and you've probably noticed that for way longer than I have. So I mustn't have imported the graphic. So frustratingly, I'm going to do that now. So I think that looking at my Photoshop tile, I think the square is fine. Which one's the square? So the square's 3, so it's the first one is not correct. So let's copy that. So this one here is not correct. So let's zoom out. And let's highlight it all, delete, paste the black background, Control and V. Actually, let's move it down to 8 and 8. And then let's make it bigger, 40 by 40. Yeah. Okay, and let's copy that because we need to update the other ones. I don't really understand why that happened, but that's fine. It happens. Let's check the hotspots in the right place. Again, this is why we test things. I think of all of this project, I wasn't really that worried about the graphics so much, so that doesn't bother me. There we go, and let's just test it, see if it's running nicely. And there we go, we've got the nice T shape now. So let's drop this piece. We've got the nice T shape. Brilliant. I think while I'm here, I'm just going to move this over so that the long piece is quite nice. It comes up like along here and fits on the screen. And I'm also going to completely disable the development mode. And I need this to disappear, so I don't really know where I called that from. To redraw the array. Activate group reset visual array. So we're just going to remove that. So we don't need that anymore. It's not actually that helpful. So I'm just going to delete the dev area because it's not adding anything anymore. It's not actually that useful. So we can enjoy our game in complete fidelity, which is nice. It doesn't improve my gaming performance. Let's see if I can get at least a row. There we go. And the scoring system is actually animated, and I think that's why. That they had it ticking away with some score each at a time. Perfect. That's fantastic. Right. So what else do we need to do? I mean, to improve the left and right, we could have the same thing where it's doing it each time, and we probably should. The problem is it will affect the precision, and I'll show you that now. So if we repeat while right arrow is pressed, with the left arrow I can get exact precision, but when I hold down right, however slow it goes, it's quite irritating. So we need a right lock, which is basically a counter that just counts some time before it then fires the next one. So we want to keep the right arrow. We want to keep that there, but then we want to activate the lock to give the player a little bit of time before it then continually moves to the right, if that makes at all any sense. So we're going to go back to the player data store, which has a lot of stuff in it now, and we're just going to have a right lock and a left lock. And this will be just a store of the amount of time that's gone on with the right arrow pressed. So we're going to just do it with the right arrow first and remove all of this stuff. And upon pressing the key, what we want to do is set the right lock to 0. And every 1/100th of a second, we want to add 1 to the right lock. And then we want to copy that. And then we want to say every 500th of a second, and insert if the right lock, where are we? Right lock. Is greater or equal to, 10, let's say. So this will mimic, and I don't know which order, I think it's probably that one and then that one. This will mimic, this line here will mimic that line, but will only be activated when this one's counted to 10. And let's just see if that works. And I think that could probably do 20, and I think we want this to be a lot less, so maybe 2. Let's move it, and that's really slow. That's really slow still. So I like the delay on it. The delay is nice. The delay's working well, but I think this is just really, this just takes a long time. Let's try it now. I don't know why this takes a long time, so I just delete that, just run it always. Unless this is continually firing. The right arrow should only fire once though. So set right lock to 0. Add 1 to right lock. And when the right lock is greater than or equal to 20, let's just check that It's going very slow, but if I remove that restriction and deactivate this line, what happens now? So it goes super quick. This is interesting. There's obviously some logic here I'm missing. Oh. Weirdly, it doesn't undo activate line, deactivate line. So let's think about what's going wrong here. As always, it's me being an idiot, I'm sure. Yep. I copied the set right lock to 0. So that was actually setting to 0. Oh, isn't that always the way? Right. So we're going to set this to, 4 or something. Oh, there's 5 on the down, so we could have the same. Let's just run it. So left, left, left. Brilliant. So there's just that little bit of a delay. I'm holding it down now. There's just that bit of a delay to allow you that precision. And so all we're just going to do is copy these two, paste them, because we're going to do the same for the left arrow. And I'm just going to delete this because I'm going to move this one down for the left arrow. And we're going to edit that because it's going to be the left lock. And let's just make sure that this is at the bottom. And we want the left lock. Looks good, and we need to set the left lock to 0. I think that's good. See if it works. So left, right, scramble mess. Now that bug there is when you're clicking left and it goes down at the same time. It really muddles up. If I click right again, it will just carry on as if nothing's happened. Now I knew that this existed, and I think it also works against blocks. Yeah, it does. So if you're holding down right, so I'm holding down right now, the blocks kind of merge weirdly into each other. And it's because I've treated the two things separately, and it's using the same group. So what I should have done is, instead of using a group for workout tile positions, I really should have used a loop, because it couldn't be run concurrently then. Because sometimes this group here is firing having gone down and left or right, which seems fine, but mucks up big with these this here, because this tests to see whether we've gone down or not, and if we've gone down then this fires, but this is ignored, and this shouldn't be ignored because this holds the restrictions of not moving left or right. So I can rectify this. It's going to take a while because I need to update everywhere where it says workout tile positions, and change them to a loop, which I think is on tick and on player actions. So let's see whether I can do this quickly. So insert a new event, and we're going to say on loop, and we're going to call it workout player positions. Okay, what I could do is copy this to each of these, or I could make it a parent event, so add a new child event. I don't know, always. This is available only with the 2.5 plus, so please go out and buy that because it's amazing, and Clickteam needs your support always. If you don't have the 2.5 plus, you just need to drag this event to every single event here, and we'll make this a loop of 1. Okay, so we're going to drag all of this stuff. We don't need the on loop ones because they have their own loop, so they won't run. And we just drag these in here, and that's the 2.5 plus way of doing it. And so all of these will run for that loop. And let's get rid of that always event that's just in there in the end. These will just run anyway. And what we do now is we activate this group. Okay, and then every reference we had to this group, every time we activated it, we need to replace that with a fast loop. So workout tile positions will now become fast loop, start loop, workout player positions 1. Easy. And so workout tile positions, which is this one, paste in and delete that activate group. Okay, and I think there's a few in here. Paste in I think those are fine. Paste in, delete, paste in, delete, and paste it in and delete. Perfect. Now I think that's the only places that we've activated that group. However, I'm just going to skim down. There we go. That's deactivate the group, so we don't actually want to do that anymore. And we might as well delete these always events that are just cluttering up the place. Right, let's just double check that there's no more. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so if we run it now, it probably will completely go wrong. I hope not. Ugh. Okay. That starts badly, but it does get better, hopefully. Yeah. Oh dear. So, I did notice that they are starting in the wrong line, so that's interesting. That seems to have highlighted an issue with our code beyond what I've just changed now. Yeah, this is not going well. Okay, so I kind of predicted that this would go badly. It always does. Okay, so let's have a look and see what... Is there anything in here that shouldn't be in here? That's my first port of call. Is there anything in here that shouldn't be in here? Always draw player tetromino. That should be in there. Okay, there's one. There's one mistake we made. That should be in there because that's an always event. And okay, let's see if that helps things. Okay, we've still got that horrible thing at the start, and I can still keep going left forever. So that hasn't really helped. I wonder if there's something. There shouldn't be. That should be fine. That should be fine. Right. Let's check if I've missed a group thing, which is more than likely. Let's check that I've not missed one. No, that's all good. Deactivate group. There we go. So that's probably what's happening there. So that's deactivating it. What I want to do is I want to come out of the fast loop. So what I could do is, I think, yeah, stop loop, there we are. And we'll leave it blank for now because I'll copy and paste it. Edit, paste. Let's see if there's anywhere else that I've deactivated. No, I don't think so. Okay, let's run that now. See whether that's still got the horrible start, but it's not moving to the right or left anymore, which is good. Let's see if this is working. There we go. Now, if I hold to the right now, it did muck up before, and now it's not, which is perfect. If I hold to the left, nothing. If I push it against a block, so I'm going to go to the bottom here, push against this block, nope, nothing. So that's solved, which is good. And this is just me playing Tetris, which is not good. It doesn't make good YouTube. Okay, so that weird thing at the start, that's an interesting thing, but I think I identified that earlier and then ignored it because I was busy, which you shouldn't do. You should always write it down. Have a notepad and pen, or have Postit Notes by your side, and if you find something, if you discover something and realise, oh, I'll do that later, write it down. This bit here, I think, is the problem. So we're going to remove that. I think that's the problem. I'm not 100% sure. Let's run it with that removed. Or what I sometimes do is just shift it down. So just move it down here and then deactivate the line, because you can't really rely on the undo button in Clickteam. It's still doing it. Okay, so I was hoping that would be it. So let's have a look at the main. So set position to main X. I wonder if main X is the problem. The main X isn't set to anything at the start, or it's set to the wrong thing. So in the init, I think it's because this is in the wrong line. I think we want to set main X there, and then it will do it. Let's see if that works. It's still having the problem. Right, let's have a think. Oh, it's not main X. Is it old main X that we've got to set? So all triple values set, and it's old main X we need to set as well, and old main Y. I think that might be the problem. So where are we? Old main Y. And we need to set them to 4 and 1. So set that to 4 and set that to 1. Let's have a look now. Still doing it. Okay. Let's see what's... No, that's all good. That's just for the array bit. That's setting the next tile to random, which is good. This should work. So let's have a look at the on new tetromino. So drop bonus and all that stuff. Orientation, set current tile to the next tile, which we've already set. Set next tile to random, good. Set direction of that. Here we are, set main X to 4, set main Y to 1. That's good. Start loops work out player positions, which is good, based on those. That all looks good. That's really weird how that's working. It's just the very first one. It's just the first bit loads up. So each time it's the starting one, and it is that main block is having, like, it just isn't loading, and then everything else shifts to the right one. So that's an interesting bug. And it's an interesting bug because it's going to be something silly like this. Add 1 to main X. Why? Why would you add 1 to main X? That makes no sense. I obviously copy and pasted that from somewhere and just that got left in. And of course it's working absolutely perfectly now. Now, I had a plan of making sure that this video did not exceed an hour long. And I think we're on, 52 minutes now. So I think that this is as complete as I could imagine in my wildest dreams. I mean, I didn't genuinely think we'd be able to get around to the scoring system, especially at the end of last week where just things were piling up. But this is an absolutely workable game. I'm still no good at it, but it's an absolutely workable game. And I have found myself playing Tetris quite a lot to try and make sure that I know what I'm doing, know what I'm talking about. And I've got the 2DS version of it, luckily, because I don't think they sell it anymore. And I've been playing it on the Switch, and I've been going around I've played it on my sister's house on PlayStation VR. The Tetris Effect, which is an amazing game. I don't even understand why that game is so amazing, but Tetris is a very, very addictive game. And now, if you're able to follow this very very feature-length tutorial, you can now create it yourself. And if there's something in Tetris that you don't like, you can change it up. And you can change the graphics to whatever you want them to be. And you could have little pictures of cats as each of the pieces. You have full customization. And I wish I could share this MFA file, whatever they call them. But obviously, I think Nintendo or the Tetris company might go crazy if I did that. And I just had a pause there. This is not perfect. I'm sure I could spend hours and hours more on this. Let's see if this works. No, I pressed the wrong button, that's why. So it's far from being perfect, but I think when you compare this with the Game Boy version, it looks very, very convincing. I'm sure that there are bugs still with it, and really I kind of want to pass it on to you guys now. And next week will be, I haven't decided what we're doing next week. It'd be quite exciting to do this again because I've enjoyed this. One of the bugs is we haven't got an end screen, so we haven't got a game over. It will just keep recycling tiles into that position. At least it doesn't crash, I suppose. But I want to thank you very much for this journey we've gone through. I mean, as I said before, we started in 2019 and we finished it in 2020. But it was only 3 weeks, so it's all good. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us on this crusade. I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more from us, please click subscribe. We release videos every single weekday at 7 PM UK time. Thank you.